The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into a Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you, and we're going to have a great episode today. But first, I want to talk about our sponsor and put their logo in the top right corner like I always do, so you know where to go. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to go check out Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. We thank them for their constant support of not just Running Point, but YSN, and they've been a sponsor of this show since day one. So we always appreciate the ride they've taken us on, and we try to follow their lead and go the extra mile for you every day on this show and on the network. We got a great episode for you. We're going to recap all the action last night. We have baseball district semifinals officially set, locked in, good to go. Division 1 and 4 were in action last night. So now we have district semis set in divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4 to talk about for baseball. And we also have softball district champions. Those ones are locked in. We have our regional semifinalists on the YSN network. So we're going to talk about the division 2 and the division 3 district championships last night. A lot of fun time, and all the games except Canfield, they kind of brushed off field, but the division 3 games especially did not disappoint at all. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, well, actually, let's talk about the interview first before I get into the recaps. We are going to have an interview today, and this is going to be one that's a little bit, it's special. It's special because the stats have been calculated, and they've gone through the record books at United in Hanoverton, and they've officially deemed that Tori Firth has had a record-breaking career. And we're gonna have an interview with her, played for you guys, and we're gonna talk about her record-breaking performances this season, not just for a season record. Those are the ones that really took some calculation, but also the career records that she's able to call herself owners of now at United. So I had a great chance to just kind of recap her career with her yesterday afternoon. We're going to listen to her interview towards the middle of the show to just talk about one of the best careers we've seen in the YSN network on the softball diamond, to be honest. A lot of records that she's going to be holding for a while at United. I don't see those records falling any time soon. So we'll talk to her. We'll listen to a talk with her about halfway through the show. But first, we want to dive into our tournament recap, and for that we go into the Northeast District database. Next week we're going to have to start going into the OHSAA brackets on the OHSAA main site, because that's where the regional ones are found. But here's how this we'll start with softball with the district championships. Here's how they kind of looked last night. We'll start with Division 2, and we'll go into Northeast 2, where we find Canfield. And they went up against Mogador Field. So it was the battle of the fields. And Canfield able to come out on top in this one. Final score 7-1. No doubt about it for Canfield. Gianna Panunzio had a great day at the plate, a couple of RBIs. Jenna Treveri also had a great day at the plate for Canfield. And then Milena Toth was her normal self. Just gave up the one run on a one hit. That's all. So a one hit performance for Milena Toth, one run, and that mixed with really good offense in the typical Canfield way. All the speed, on base percentage was high. They did get a little bit of power. Leah Figueroa hit a home run. So now, actually, Canfield, now that I'm thinking of it, has hit a home run in each of their tournament games. Melina Toth hit one in the first two games. And then now Figueroa hits one last night. So maybe we keep talking about Canfield finding their power a little bit towards the end of the season. That could pay dividends because while it's great to manufacture runs, and I think it's going to be a lot more beneficial to be able to manufacture runs in the tournament, you can't overvalue the ability to get a run in a swing or multiple runs in one swing. The home run can be a very momentum swinging play, or even like the doubles to the wall, the ones that are just kind of deflating for the defense to give up, a huge hit to the wall that goes off the fence, something like that. And Canfield starting to find a little bit of power to mix in with their speed and a high on base percentage. That can make Canfield mighty, mighty dangerous. Going into regionals, they're going to go to Nordonia on Wednesday, and they are the late game in Nordonia. It's going to be at Memorial Field. You'll find it on the OHSAA website. It is in the city of Macedonia. The OHSAA website might be a little bit confusing because it doesn't say Nordonia High School. It says Memorial Field, and then obviously the city is Macedonia. So if you don't know, it could be a little bit confusing, but it gives you the address. And if you also find Nordonia High School, you'll be okay. I think the softball field there is right across the street from the high school. So that's where Canfield is going to be heading for regionals. And because of that, they're going to be squared up against Holy Name versus Canfield Wednesday at 5:00 in the regional semifinals. Winner is one step away from Firestone, and we are officially in the Sweet 16 in all divisions. So Canfield versus Holy Name. Next week, when we start getting closer to that regional semifinal, we'll dive into the regional bracket for all these divisions and see really how it looks. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna probably be over talking Division 3 regional because there's a lot to talk about there. We're actually gonna talk about it a little bit today too because I'm stoked for this Division 3 regional in Canton. So without further ado, let's go into Division 3 because Canfield was our last Division 2 team left, and they are still remaining after that win last night. Division 3 Northeast 1, it was the South Range District, and it was Pullman versus South Range. And there's a spoiler alert right there. You can see Canfield South Range in bold. South Range wins the district championship in walk-off fashion, 6-5, in a game where they fell behind 3-0 after one inning. Poland hit 2 home runs in the first to go up 3-0, and South Range kept chipping away, eventually tied it at 5, and then came up and walked it off in the bottom of the 7th, 6-5, your final score. Gretchen Bartels is the hero, the one they call FedEx. Special Delivery is in the headline as they get the win off of her bat. Second year in a row, Gretchen Bartels has been the hero in the district championship game. Remember last year, Gretchen Bartels hit 2 home runs against Gilmore Academy that ended up being the difference in that district championship game. A lot less stress for the Raiders in that one as they were able to cruise after her 2 home runs. But this one, it was her walk-off hit, the only hit that she had all day. And it was a tough day leading up to that at bat for Gretchen Bartels. Not only was she struggling at the plate, but she also took a hard ground ball to her shin, and it did not feel good. She took a minute to walk it off. So a little bit of pain tolerance and a little bit of positive mindset for Bartels that she was able to clear her mind and get that walk-off hit. It would have probably been a double if it was any other situation. Because it was a walk-off, it scored a single because you just need that one base and the run scored. But it went to the gap in right center field. So, but any other situation probably would have been a double to the gap. But like I said, it scored a single by the scoring rules because it was a walk-off. So the walk-off base hit for Gretchen Bartels is the only RBI of her for the day. 5 different Raiders had RBIs on the day. You had Julie Stakowitz and Anna A, who both hit home runs. Bartels had an RBI. Dado had an RBI as well. And then I'm trying to recall the last RBI. I knew there was 5 Raiders. Now I'm trying to see. I have to go to their game changer. Hold on. I don't want to. Anthony, I always want to make sure I'm right. South Range. Let's just see. South Range versus Poland. Box score. Zolik had an RBI as well. So Dado, Zolik, Stakowicz, Suzanne, Bartels, and A all have RBIs. I was wrong. That is actually 6 Raiders with RBIs. So that is a very deep lineup that can hurt you 1 through 9, which is why Poland was struggling so much with it. There's not really one hole in it, and both teams had one player in the lineup that they just didn't want any part of. South Range intentionally walked Mary Brandt after her second home run. They said no way for her. And then in that big situation, it was Poland that put Julie Stakowicz on board and said, let's make Gretchen Bartels beat us. And eventually she did. She got the RBI base hit to walk off the game 6-5. Congratulations to South Range on moving on, but also congratulations to Poland for a great season. I know they're going to miss a couple of their seniors, especially Katie McDonald, who's going on to play in Division I at Cleveland State. So they're going to miss her and her pitching very, very much. I think that's what they're going to miss the most. They have a lot of talent coming back, but the big question for Poland next year is going to be in the circle and who's going to step into that role as the starting pitcher for them. Because outside of that, a lot of returning talent. That's a young roster with especially a couple of freshmen that have really done extremely well all season. Eliana Thompson and Leanna Bucheri, and of course at the bottom of the order, Avery Yakimovic. So all 3 of those players returning for their sophomore year next year. But like I said, the question for the Bulldogs is going to be who is going to step into the shoes of Katie McDonald in the circle. It'll be Mary Brandt's senior years, and she'll come back and with power in that order. It's going to be an offense to contend with, that's for sure, next year. But pitching is going to be a question mark. Somewhere where a question mark won't be in pitching for a long time is the winner of the Northeast 2 District Championship, and it is Warren Champion. 2-0. They get the win. First district championship for Champion since 2019, and that might seem like a tiny gap to make a note of, but for a program like Champion, you think two full seasons without a district championship, because 2020 there obviously wasn't a softball season. That's a long time for a program that has had 6 state championships under Cheryl Weaver, 9 as a whole. They're used to getting to regionals, and a little bit of a drought without it, and they get right back to it this year with a 2-0 win over Lakeview. Lakeview really fought tooth and nail in this game. And when you look at it, the most impressive part, I think, of this Lakeview tournament run is just the ability to not be intimidated by anyone. I mean, they were probably the quote-unquote underdogs in the district semis against Columbiana. I think a lot of people were just kind of anticipating a Columbiana Champion matchup, and Lakeview was like, nope, we're not going to hear any part of that. And they won the semifinal over Columbiana by scoring 7 runs on the Clippers. And then you look at their this tournament game here, no fear against Champion, especially in the pitcher circle. Very impressive that they're able to hold this Champion lineup to just 2 runs. And they did a great job there. And I think the confidence that they have, they're a young roster as well. They're going to be missing a couple of seniors next year, but they still have a lot of young talent, especially Eisenberg in the circle coming back for her sophomore year next year. She is the one that pitched them to victory in Columbiana. This time it was Bacon that pitched for them here, only giving up the 2 runs on 6 hits. She struck out 5, walked 2. Gabby Gradishar, by the way, just 1 hit away from a perfect game, which would have been her 3rd in a row in the district tournament. She gave up 1 hit, no runs, struck out 12, no walks either, no errors on the champion defense. So just that one hit. And the one that broke up the perfect game was Max Stowe, the impressive freshman catcher that has been hitting well for the Bulldogs all season. For the offensive side of champion, the big bat was Abigail Metters, 2 for 3, 2 RBI, the only 2 RBI, and the game deciding 2 RBI for this one. So when you look at it, a great game of pitcher's duel, a straight up pitcher's duel between Bacon and Gratishar in this one, but it is champion that moves on, and they will play LaGrange Keystone in the regional semifinals on Wednesday in Canton. That's going to be at Willig Park, which is a softball complex, all turf. I believe that it's going to be a turf field, if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to prepare whoever comes out of that region for Firestone, which is also brand new turf in Akron Firestone Stadium. That'll be interesting. This D3 regional, I'm just going to quickly go over it. We will dive into it next week. I'm going to contain myself today. This D3 regional has South Range, who has won now 10 district championships since 2010. And they have won 3 in a row, and they've also been to what? 1, 2, 3, 5 regionals since 2016, 2 state championship appearances since 2016. So you have that program. And then you have Worcester Triway, who won the state championship last year in Division 2, moving down to Division 3. So you have that pedigree. You have LaGrange Keystone, who is the winningest softball program in the state of Ohio with over 1,000 wins in their softball program. And then you have Champion, who has won 9 state titles in their program's history, 6 under Cheryl Weaver, and the last one coming in 2019. So there's a lot of history, there's a lot of pedigree in this region, and there is a lot of success and talent in this region in Canton. I would argue the absolute best region in high school softball at the state. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, whoever gets out of it absolutely earn their way to Firestone Stadium. There's no way you get through that region coasting, and there's no easy game in that region at all. There's never an easy game in regional, but emphasizing it here in this one, there is absolutely no clear path to a regional championship in this Canton region in Division 3. It is a bona fide gauntlet of a region, and especially it's filled with just winning tradition with Champion, Keystone, Triway, South Range. It's going to be fun next week. We'll dive into it next week as well. But before we go into all that and before we get into next week, we have to talk about the baseball sectional finals that happened last night and the district semifinals that are now set in baseball. Let's go into Division 1 first as we go into the baseball tab of the OHSAA district database, Northeast District Database. Division 1, Northeast 1. Let's see how this shook up as the sectional final between Walsh, Jesuit, and Twinsburg goes in favor of Walsh, 10-0, the final score there. The next one was Fitch getting the win. The 12 seed beats the 24 seeded Solon 2-1. They needed every bit of their pitching to get the win here, but the good news for Fitch is they now have enough time off where they can throw their number 1 again on next week on Tuesday, if my dates are right. Tuesday, yes, dates. Tuesday at 4:30. So Fitch is gonna go right back to their number 1 pitcher and see where they can get to in the district semis. On the bottom of the bracket, Canton Glen Oak gets the win over Nordonia, 14-4, the final score there. They advanced in the district semifinals. And in the bottom of the bracket, we see Louisville. They got the win over Uniontown Lake, 5-1. So the 9-seeded Leopards, they're in the district semifinals. That game will be on the 23rd at 1:30. So they'll be the first game at this district, which will be held at Hoven Field in Macedonia, which is Nordonia's home baseball field. So at Nordonia is where Fitch and Louisville will both play on Tuesday in their district semifinals, both trying to punch a ticket to a district championship, and we have the big chance of getting an all YSN district championship in that Division 1 bracket. We move on to Northeast 2 in Division 1, see how that sectional shook up. As Aurora gets the loss over Mayfield. 23rd seeded Mayfield pulls off the upset over Aurora. Big one there, 2-1, Mayfield moving on. Who will they play? Well, they'll play Hudson, who wins over Kent Roosevelt. Little bit of an upset there, 13-11. That is a 8-4 final score. Hudson moving on to the district semifinals. Bottom of the bracket, we have Stowe Monroe Falls. They fell to Green. Another upset, 19 beating a 5. Green moves on. And then at the bottom of the bracket, University School was not going to continue the trend of upsets as they get the win over Mentor, 5-2, the final score there. So a lot of upsets in this bracket. No YSN teams, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on because the top seeds are no longer there. We go in the Northeast 3. The first district semifinal is set as Massillon Jackson does beat Hoover 8-0 there. They get a little bit of revenge for their softball team who fell to Hoover in the district championship. And then who will they play? Well, they'll play Aston Washington, who gets a 7-3 win over Dover. So Washington on to the next round. On the other end, Chardon, they beat Canton McKinley 6-2. Chardon moving on. And on the bottom of the bracket, it is Hoban, who got the 1-0 win over the 17-seeded Ellett. And they will move on to the district semifinals as well. So there's Hoban for you. 7 seed, they'll go up against the 4-seeded Chardon. And they will go up against them on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. The other district semifinal will be Tuesday at 2 o'clock. These games are taking place. We'll get site contact info at Munson Memorial Stadium in Canton. There's the address for you there. You can also find it, of course, on the website. So that's where those games will be. 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Tuesday for Division 1. Let's get you updated on the brackets in Division 4 now. We'll go to Northeast 1 where the district semifinals are set. After Lake Center Christian got the win over St. Thomas Aquinas, final score there 12-0. So Lake Center easily cruises to the district semi. On the other end, Ashtabula St. John upsets Wellsville on the road 18-5. The 8-seeded St. John team moving on, and they will play Lake Center Christian on Tuesday. We go into the bottom of the semifinals here in the sectionals. Matthews gets the win, but barely over Lowville, 7-5. Lowville almost pulled off that big upset, but Matthews hangs on. Bottom of the bracket, it is McDonald getting the one-run victory over East Canton, 6-5. The final score there. McDonald moving on, so it'll be McDonald against Matthews, and we will have St. John against Lake Center Christian on Tuesday. This game will be at Bobseen Park, and the times will be at 5 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Let's go into the other Division 4 bracket and see how that one lined up for us. And we have Warren JFK cruising to a 12-0 victory over Southern there in the district semifinals. And then we have Lisbon. They fell to Bristol 10-3. So Bristol will take on Warren JFK on Tuesday. And then we go into the bottom of the bracket. It is Springfield with an offensive onslaught. They win 18-6 over Badger. And then at the bottom of the bracket, it is Maplewood against Heartland, and it is all Lions as Heartland Christian gets to win 18-3. So 6 versus 5 in the district semifinal. Springfield versus Heartland, Lions versus Tigers. All we need are Bears, oh my. And then up here on the top, we have the Bristol Panthers against Warren JFK, 2 versus 9 in this district semifinal. On Tuesday, these games will take place at 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, and the site is going to be at Springfield High School. at 2-5 for the district semifinals on Tuesday. Reminder that our baseball coverage for the tournament does start next week. We will be at districts for broadcast purposes, and those games like softball will be pay-per-view. $9.99 gets you access to every game on the network that particular evening. But that will do it for our tournament wrap-up and our recap of last night's action. It's definitely a fun night of softball and baseball. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have an interview to play with Tori Firth from United. Don't miss it when we get back on Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you. And we are going to go right into the interview section of the show. And it is going to be United senior graduate Tori Firth talking about her record-breaking career. A lot of records that she now holds, and we can now call it official after United did a little bit of research, a little bit of calculating. So once they got us to those stats, we were able to get Tori on and talk about the record-breaking performances that she's been able to have, not just this year as the season records at United, but also in her whole career for the career records at United. It's a great interview. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. Anthony Hartwig here with a United softball player profile, and man, we're joined by someone who has had a fantastic career at United, Tori Firth. Tori, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So first things first, let's talk about these records that you're going to be leaving United with. I think you had a great career. I mean, here are the numbers. Season records for home runs with 10, RBIs with 47, career records with 24 home runs, 120 RBI, and you also have now the United record for average in a career, hitting 550 in your whole career at United. I mean, when you hear all that and obviously you reflect on your career, my first question is, what kind of things do you treasure the most in your United softball career?
Mainly all the time that my coaches and my parents and obviously my friends have put in. A lot of those records I couldn't have been done without them. We worked a lot, made a lot of memories, and put just a lot of work into everything.
One of the things I know about you, because we've interviewed you before, the records don't mean as much as the team, and that's one of the things that I think makes you a great leader. But let's just talk about it for a minute. All those records, which one are you kind of the most proud of? Do you think that you put the most work into?
As a team, I definitely think like the RBIs because I can hit great all the time, but if I don't have those runners on base, I don't get those RBIs.
When you hear a career average of 550, it means that you've had a consistent approach at the plate. What do you think has let you be so consistent at the plate, and what kind of mindset does it take to be that consistent?
We talk all the time about softball as a game of failure. You're typically going to fail more times than you succeed. So just knowing that batting above 500, I was loose and got victorious most of the time.
You're one of the players that breaks that mold because you were victorious more times than you failed with that 550 average. But I'm sure there were still signs of adversity throughout your career. What do you think are some of the ways that you've handled adversity and those hills and valleys that softball can definitely take you on?
Knowing that I have a good field of teammates behind me really helps in those times. And Coach Matt always talks really well about keep on the valleys, like stay in the divots as short as possible and then ride the peaks as long as possible.
Last year when we talked to you, you still had a time left in this United program. But now here you are where we're finishing your senior season. What is some of your takeaways from this year of the softball team? And what do you think was different from your perspective about this year compared to last year?
Last year, we had big goals. We tried so hard to get them, and then we got them. And then it was almost like we didn't know what came next. And this year, we had bigger goals than last year, and unfortunately, we didn't get them. But the biggest takeaway this year would be the fact that these girls, I wouldn't have wanted anybody else out there with me.
I know we joked about, your average and you succeeded more than you failed, but talk about the experience of setting bigger goals like you did this year and then not getting them, and how the team was able to just cope with that, not obviously not let it take their heads down. They never stopped playing after you didn't win the EOAC. You still went in and you still played hard after that. And you gave Columbiana a heck of a game in the tournament. So what were some of the things that this team did after maybe they didn't reach the goals that they really wanted to do, which is something that's just going to happen in the sport?
When we set goals, we worked so hard to reach them. And then because it is a game of failure, you're not always going to succeed. And once things are done and over with, that's all you can do is learn and move on and try to do it better next year.
All right, so you learn and you move on. What is one or what are a couple of things, I guess I could say, that you learned about yourself this season and yourself as a softball player, yourself as a person?
On the field, I learned that I am a lot mentally stronger than I think I am. There were definitely times that I had doubts within myself, and the team behind me really helped me to break past those barriers.
What do you think are some of the big factors of that mental strength that you just brought up and the ability to be so mentally strong out on the field?
It comes a lot from the coaches that have helped me. We train that a lot when I go to pitching lessons. Crystal O'Brien, her daughter pitches for McDonald. She is my pitching coach, and we talk all the time about when to throw things. When you get ahead in the count, you can throw this here, but when you're not ahead in the count, you have to make sure that you don't throw it as far.
Let's talk about your mindset in the circle this year. Obviously, last year you had such a successful season inside the EOAC. This year you come in, everyone knows your name. Everyone kind of knows what you're bringing. There's no secrets, especially in the league. How do you handle making the counter adjustments to some of these hitters and their adjustments to seeing you maybe for the fourth or fifth time this year compared to last year?
This year, we really worked on the fact that while I'm in that circle and we're on the field, that we are the team that is going to do this. We tried really hard to make sure that there were no doubts in our mind while we were out there.
What kind of things did you work on the most as a pitcher this year? Was it developing a new pitch, raising velocity? What were some of the things that you really wanted to improve on this year when you were working in the off season, and then obviously throughout the year?
Throughout the off season, we worked on trying to add another pitch in. Throughout high school, I was not comfortable enough to throw that all the time, but because we've worked on that, my velocity did go up a couple miles an hour.
Give people some inside like scoops, because I don't think people understand like how hard it is to just add a new pitch and develop a new pitch. Like what kind of things go into saying, okay, this is kind of a pitch I want to start to develop, and then all the work that goes into getting it to a point where you're comfortable enough with it to throw it in big situations.
The first thing you have to do is figure out how you want your spin to look, and then after that, you have to slowly add it in, and then it can take months to figure out exactly where you want that to go.
What pitch do you have right now that you would feel that you had mastered, that you think took the most work to get and the most work to kind of get to where it's at right now?
I would definitely say my curveball. We just recently added that in after I had shoulder surgery my freshman year.
What was that like? Shoulder surgery freshman year, having to come back from that. Obviously, as a pitcher, shoulder is so important, and I'm sure a lot of pitchers maybe don't come back from a spot like that. What did it take to come back from that and be able to get back stronger?
It took a long year of rehab. I had went to therapy for 11 and a half months after that, and I was meeting all my benchmarks early, but it was just so frustrating not to be able to move on because they didn't want to take it too fast.
Now, Tori, there are a lot of people that would go through 11 months of therapy and rehab and just say, you know what, I'm just not going to be the same player I was. Forget about it. It's not for me. Not tough enough to get through it. What gave you that drive to say, I am going to get through this therapy. I'm going to be the player I was. I'm going to be better than the player I was. What kind of things gave you that that grit to get through to get through that?
Just mainly the mentality that this was the sport that I loved most. It's the only sport I play. I play it all year round. If I couldn't play softball, I don't know what I would do.
Talking about the sport like that, you got to love it, right? So what are some of the things that made you fall in love with the sport of softball?
Coach Matt, who is my high school coach now, was originally the first coach that I had ever had in the actual world of softball. He and his wife, and a couple other assistant coaches too, really helped to instill a love for the game before a love for winning.
Now that you're in your second year with him as the head coach here at United, how much have you seen him do that to your teammates, and maybe some of your teammates fall in love more with the sport of softball because you see him do what he did for you now for your teammates?
We work really hard even after the losses that we took this season, that we reflected on the fact that we still had fun. We might not have won on the score, but we won with our hearts.
Next year, when we ask some of the new leaders of this team what they took away from being your teammate, what do you think? What do you hope their answer would be?
I just hope that they take away drive and determination, that if they're not in a spot that they want on the field, they are going to have to put work in, and they can beat anybody out if they try.
Let's talk about some of your future plans for people that didn't catch it or maybe didn't know. Where are you going in the next 4 years? What are some of your future plans after high school?
I am going to attend Hiram College. I will be playing softball there and majoring in nursing.
When you think about Hiram and the recruiting process, and obviously you probably had some other schools that you visited, what was it about Hiram that made it feel like home and made you want to go to this school?
When I went on my official visit there, Coach Collins did a really nice job of helping show me around campus, and assistant coach Paul Gray too. And when I met the team, I just gelled with them. They were people that I definitely could see myself being around, and I just fell in love.
You're going to be joining fellow YSN member Hannah Heath, who's also making the trip to Hiram softball. What's it mean to you that you're going to a program with people that are also coming from your area, so you'll be able to kind of have that, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're both from Northeast Ohio. We can show them how we do it up here. What's that like for you?
It's really fun. Hannah and I actually are currently on the same travel ball team too. So and we played on one of our first travel teams together too. So we're teammates for life.
Great connections there. And as we go into more questions about connections and travel ball, what has that done for you? Obviously, high school is great, and you made a lot of friends in high school and a lot of memories with this United program, but you also get to kind of build yourself as a softball player in the summers with travel ball. Talk about that experience from you and what it's been like to go through the travel ball scene through in the summers.
I have played on a couple different travel teams for different organizations, and every single one of them was filled with lots of friends, encouraging energies, and then throughout the years, I've played with so many different girls. I just have so many different sets of friends throughout many different areas of the, like, not just the county, but the entire state.
You know, going through that, you get to meet a lot of different people from different places, maybe different life backgrounds, different kind of ways of thinking. What's that done for you as a person, do you think, being able to play with so many different girls through travel ball?
It really has helped me to open my eyes and see that not everybody lives the same in the other parts of the state than Little Columbiana County.
Does that make it easier to go to college knowing that like you've played with a lot of players before, so getting into a new team and meeting all these new people and playing with them isn't really going to be that hard for you?
I think that really helps. I have a lot of bonds with a lot of different people, but I'm really looking forward to the new ones that are going to come.
You talked about the lifestyle in Little Columbiana County. What are you going to miss the most about the home and United and some of the ways that we do things up here in this area?
The biggest thing that I'm going to miss from down here is the community. We have so many different people that don't even have kids or family members on the United team that still come to every one of our games.
When you see people like that supporting you, obviously the community of United is like its own little world down there. How much has that given you throughout your career, and how much does that really help you guys as a team do the best you can on the field?
It helps us to know that there are people that really look up to us, especially the little girls that are in the youth. We learn to play not only for ourselves, but for them too, watching.
We talked about things that are going to be easy for you when you go into college. What are some things that you're nervous about, maybe uneasy about how you're going to handle it, or maybe, being on your own? What are some things that are giving you a little bit of those butterflies in the stomach?
Just the fact that I'm not going to know everybody there.
What is the one life skill that maybe you haven't learned yet that your parents do a lot for you that you're going to have to learn pretty quickly when you live on your own in Hiram?
While I'm there on my own, my parents do a really good job of helping provide for me. And I currently don't work a job because of softball in the summer, but I will be this summer.
What are you going to be doing? What's going to be the first job for Tori Firth?
I'm not actually sure yet.
What do you think are some skills that you can bring to the workplace? What are some skills outside of softball that you have that you can kind of sell yourself with when you're filling out an application?
I last year as a junior was inducted into NHS. So throughout the year, I've done 40 plus hours of community service through there. And then I'm also a member of the United chapter of Key Club, where I've done 10 hours throughout this year.
So basically, whoever hires you is getting a steal for the experience. When you get, in college, you said you wanted to go nursing, right?
Yes.
What drove you to wanting to go into that career path and wanting to, be a nurse and to go through the medical field?
I have always enjoyed science classes the most growing up through school. And then my mom, when I was in kindergarten, went through nursing school, and it was really cool to see how compassionate and caring she could be at work and just excel as a nurse.
Last question. You're about to graduate from United. It's not too long now. What are going to be some of your favorite memories, not just with softball, but just in this school system and being a part of the United, school and program?
I am involved through so many different clubs, and we've done so many things throughout the years that will always give me memories. But the best, I think, would probably be the bus rides to softball games.
Gotta love them. All right, Tori, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out the people that are with you, shout out the people that are in your corner, and the people that you wouldn't be here without.
Obviously, my parents, they have done so much for me through providing and sacrificing so much for me to do softball throughout the years. My grandma is a bus driver at United, and she gives up a lot of her afternoon routes to take us to away games. All the coaches that have been in my corner throughout the years that have helped me be the person that I am, and then obviously the team as well for always being there for me.
All right, Tori, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate the time. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
That was Tori Firth from United talking about her excellent softball career at United. And what a great interview that was indeed. And talking to Tori, one of the things that I liked is talking about adversity that she's went through. It's not exactly easy to come back from shoulder surgery and have 11 months of therapy and rehab and come back as the exact same pitcher and exact same athlete, but she had the drive that this is what she wanted to do and where she wanted to be, and she got through that almost year-long process of trying to get herself back, and that's what makes this career milestones that she's been able to hit. I should say these career milestones that she's been able to hit so impressive because she also had to do that while coming back from shoulder surgery her freshman season. So, not exactly all the games that you can have. And so to get career records still is mighty impressive. And when you think about it, COVID was also a factor in 2020. So she only had three of her years, and her sophomore year, she was trying to come back from a shoulder surgery. So very impressive by Tori Firth to do what she's been able to do in the limited time that she's been able to do it. She will continue her career, and we can't wait to watch where she's going to be, what she's going to be doing in her future. Let's what we're going to do, since there are no games to preview tonight, no baseball games, just YSU baseball with actually going on right now, I believe, with Alec Caberna on the call. So let's go into the regionals. Let's see what these regional brackets look like and see what our teams will be facing with in regionals next week. Let's start with Duke because we have someone in Division 1, 2, and 3. So let's start with Division 1. Let's go into the regional bracket, I should say the statewide tournament bracket for Division 1 and take a look at it. I'm going to pop it back up on the screen for you. There you go. Here's what the regional bracket looks like. North Ridgeville will play the winner of Northwest 1, Northwest 2. And then Drexel Broadview Heights is also down there in the regional. We go into the central ones, which haven't been decided yet. But down here in the bottom, the Austintown Fitch YSU Regional is decided. Fitch will play Berea Mid Park on Wednesday at 2. And then they will await the winner if they're able to get past Mid Park of North Canton Hoover against Walsh Jesuit. I'm telling you, that second game is going to be an absolute knockdown, drag-out battle between Walsh and Hoover. That's going to be a fun softball game between two rivals that really do not like each other that much, which was exactly what Hoover's district championship was as well against Jackson. So another Federal League matchup in the regional semis. Interesting that Broadview Heights moved regionals because they were obviously in Austintown Fitch's regional last year, and that's who Fitch had to beat to get to a regional championship last season. Last season also, they kind of staggered the regionals on different days like districts. So, you could go to Division 1, watch that, and not have to miss Divisions 2 and 3 and 4. But this year, that's going to be the case. You're going to have to pick and choose where you want to go if you're a softball fan. Every regional happening Wednesday at 2 and 5 o'clock everywhere across the state, or at least across the regions that we cover. So, you're going to have to pick and choose. And Austintown Fitch plays the early game at Youngstown State against Berea Mid Park. And the other regional at YSU, once again, will be Walsh against Hoover. 2 and 5 o'clock on Wednesday at YSU Softball Complex. Let's go into Division 2 and see what that region looks like and give you the breakdowns of who's going to play who. And there in the top region, in Region 5, you see Canfield. They will play Holy Name at 5 o'clock at Nordonia on Wednesday. The first game down there in the region, and the game that will decide the opponent of the winner of this Canfield Holy Name game is going to be Marlington against Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. Very interesting one. St. Vincent St. Mary had an up and down season record-wise, but they're one of those teams kind of like Louisville and kind of like Hoban that just play a very independent schedule and play a very tough schedule. So you can't always take the record for what it's worth. A very good team plays all their home games at Firestone Stadium. So they are very used to the turf that they're going to see if they make it to state. Actually, if they make it to state, it'll be not just used to turf, it'll be their home field. So they'll be very used to that. It'll be a good game between St. V's and Marlington in those regional semifinal matchups. And then the other one, obviously, Canfield versus Holy Name at 5 o'clock in Nordonia. And those two winners will play each other in the regional final. That game is going to be on Friday at 5 o'clock in Nordonia. And the winner of that game will go to state. Let's go into Division 3, the last region where we have YSN teams involved. Statewide tournament bracket. Some of these districts are not either aren't decided yet or haven't been updated, but our region absolutely has. As we go down into the bottom, and here you see Keystone versus Champion. The Keystone Wildcats. They use Kansas State Wildcats logo. They're a very seasoned softball team and have been to plenty of state championships. And like I said, they're the winningest softball program in the state of Ohio. Over 1,000 wins in their program. Champion has 9 state titles in their trophy case, 6 of them under head coach Cheryl Weaver. And then you go into the bottom of the bracket, and it's going to be Triway, last year's Division II state champion, against South Range, who is going into their 3rd regional tournament in a row and their 5th since 2016. And their 10th regional tournament since 2010. So a lot of historic success in this region. But the first game in Canton at Willig Park is going to be the Keystone versus Champion game. That's going to be at 2 o'clock. And then South Range will play at 5 o'clock against Triway. So Champion versus Keystone at 2. South Range versus Triway at 5. Winners will play each other, and we're definitely hoping that we have an all YSN matchup in the regional final, which is absolutely a possibility. Champion versus South Range could happen in that regional final in Canton, and that would mean that we are guaranteed somebody in Firestone Stadium. I want to see if it's been decided yet. No, so I imagine that Wheelersburg eventually will be in this regional bracket. I would be absolutely shocked if Wheelersburg does not make it to state. They're one of the best teams that I've ever seen. They went down to Kentucky this year in spring break, played one of the nation's top-ranked teams, and run-ruled them pretty easily. So that just shows you the power of Wheelersburg, who also has won plenty of state championships in their program's history, beat South Range in the state championship in 2016. So Wheelersburg probably will be there, probably will be one of these not decided districts yet, but I imagine that Wheelersburg's name will pop up on this bracket before next Wednesday. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get to state either. So that'll do it for kind of our preview of tournament time for the regional. We will have you all set. And next week, we'll dive deeper into these regionals and talk about some of these teams and these lineups and what they have to offer, what obstacle they'll impose to our teams. Hopefully next week we can get some of our YSN coaches and players on as well, talk about winning a district championship and what it's like preparing for a regional. I think there might be some teams that try to pick up a game on Monday or Tuesday to get ready. And obviously Canfield and Fitch are scheduled to finish their series tomorrow at Canfield, but you look at the forecast, I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to dodge some rain to get that exciting one in. Still tied at 3, still top of the 10th, but we're getting down to the point where you're running out of time to make it up. You might have to just bite the bullet and either call it a draw in the conference or played at Fitch, I don't know. The options are dwindling for what you can do with that Fitch Canfield series that is still not even game decided. What they might have, I mean, honestly, what they might have to do is just label that first one a tie and then play a whole game just for the conference championship. Who knows? We'll definitely stay updated on what's going on down there. And right as of now, scheduled to be on the network tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. from Canfield, the conclusion of the first game, which is in the top of the 10th, and then a whole new game between Canfield and Fitch tomorrow at Canfield. I will be there if it happens. If we somehow dodge the rain and it happens, I will be there for that call, and it will be a fun one for sure. But that will do it for today's episode of Running Point. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in like you do every day, and I want to invite you to enjoy the weekend. It's going to be maybe a little bit wet, but also a lot of softball on TV. Enjoy the college softball. Mayhem is here. Regionals have officially started. First pitch of regionals was at 1 o'clock, and by the end of the weekend, we're going to be down to 16 college softball teams fighting for the World Series. So this is going to be a fun time. Enjoy it. Watch some softball for sure. And if you do, let me know what you're watching and who you think's going to win. I think Oklahoma is going to win their third straight championship this year, but we'll see. Let's go and say goodbye. Enjoy the weekend again, and we'll see you on Monday from 1 to 2 on